Hello, everyone. Happy Easter. Or by the time you're watching this, it's officially April Fool's Day, which I'm sorry to report is actually the final day of Renegades React. So, yeah, it's been a hell of a run. I mean, 10 years. I mean, we've lasted longer than most people, and it's been quite the journey. I mean, we've met some amazing people. We've seen some amazing shows. Such as, we actually went and watched Scribble Showdown with Jaden and Ross and Odd Ones Out and Aaron and Emery Chu. But all good things must come to an end eventually. And I'm sorry to report that this is in fact the final day of Renegades React. So
I'm sorry to report that this is in fact an April Fool's joke.
Oh, for God's sakes, man, you gotta ruin it like that?
I don't like when people do like heavy shit like that for April Fool's jokes in the first place, so yeah, I gotta ruin it.
But everyone knowing me knows that I am 100% not serious about it.
I don't know. A lot of people are just like, they'll believe it nowadays because there's so many YouTubers just retiring out of the blue all of a sudden.
I'm not going anywhere, guys. I love doing this too much. Welcome to the video. Welcome to the Renegades. This is what we do. We cannot stop ourselves. We talk way too much. And we just need to get to the video. And according to Caleb, video starts at insert number here.
Remember when Pokemon sent me...
Remember when Nate always forget to change the...
No, I don't always forget. I occasionally forget. Because...
It's like 50-50.
That's better. That's better than all the time, I guess. But anyway, here we go.
Every single one of their Gen 5 sitting cuties for me to rank. Turns out they really liked that video. So much, in fact, that they said, "Hey Jaden, awesome video. Why don't you come to Japan to watch the Pokemon 2023 World Championships?" Our treat. You won't have to pay for your flights or hotel or nothing.
Yeah.
I've been to Japan once
Accurate.
before in my entire life, and it was back in 2018 with my family. We
Hell
did a
yeah.
bunch of fun little Japanese tourist things. It was a phenomenal trip, but ever since then, I've always wanted to go back and do all the awesome nerdy stuff Japan has to offer that I didn't want to bother my family
yes.
with. At the time, they didn't even know who Luffy was. They would have been so lost. So when Pokemon extended their hand and offered to fly not only me, but Jacob out to attend the biggest
Alpharad too,
Pokemon
nice.
tournament in the world, I jumped for joy. Free trip to Japan! The tournament was only going on for a single weekend, but Jacob and I planned to stay there for 3 whole weeks. To
Holy
do a bunch of said extra.
I don't blame you. Honestly, that's a hell of a trip. 3 weeks in Japan? Oh my dude. I wouldn't want to leave after that, man.
Yeah, that's what I really want to do.
Nerdy stuff. We were pumped. Eventually the time came, Jacob and I were packing up all our stuff and decided we both would bring an extra suitcase so we could treat ourselves a bit and buy a bunch of cool stuff while we're there. Don't judge us. We're anime and Nintendo loving impulse
There's
buyers
nothing wrong with
going
that.
to Japan. A game plan was needed. We were being responsible.
No, honestly, I would do the same thing. I'd bring an extra suitcase. Heck, I'd probably bring 2. And I totally wouldn't smuggle someone back with me. Completely not against their will, but I would happily smuggle someone back with me.
Let's hope TSA never sees this video because you might get put on a no-fly list.
I'm not gonna... Okay, TSA, if you watch this, first off, you all are way too handsy and you need to lay off. Secondly, stop assaulting little children and stop abusing your drug dogs. Oh, and number 3, don't put me on the no-fly list or else I'm gonna...
Definitely
2
on the
extra
list now.
suitcases was definitely gonna be enough. Yep. Equipped with our extra luggage, we headed off to the airport. Pokemon straight up gave us business class seats. We didn't ask for them or anything. So when
The
we boarded,
extra
we
leg
realized
room,
we had the
dude.
seats where you could lay down. There even was
That's
some sort of
dope.
seat
That's
divider
ballin'.
that acted like a car window, so I could roll it down and bother Jacob whenever I wanted. Quick little 11-hour
That's
flight
baller.
later,
That's
and we
baller.
were in Japan. It was time to have the best
Awesome.
trip of our lives. I'm not joking. I had the most incredible trip and got to do things I won't ever forget. And I won't, because I've now plastered it onto the internet forever. We landed midday Japan time,
Thank you,
so we
Jaden.
decided to go to the first thing we wanted to see while
Tokyo
abroad.
Tower?
Japanese McDonald's. I couldn't
Oh.
order anything except fries, but Jacob and I both dropped our jaws when we saw something called the Double Big Mac on the menu. I thought Americans already went big with the Big Mac, but Japan did the impossible, just to send a message.
No matter how bad you are, no matter how amazing you think you might be, there will always be an Asian that takes it to the next level. Every time.
What a magical place.
Yeah, we're still beating them on obesity rates.
Well, once again, Japan's food quality versus ours. Like, when you read all of the amounts of preservatives that are in American food versus, like, Japanese food, European food, just food from all over the world, it makes sense why Americans are in the state of health that they are in. Versus
Our food industry is literally poisoning us.
Yes, literally. The preservatives that are in food, like, dude, I would understand if you just used salt as a preservative because that's what salt is. Salt is literally one of the best natural preservatives, and that's what most countries use. But no, our country decided, hey, stamp, stamp, stamp. Here you go. There's all these, like, freedoms and liberties that you can take with preserving things, and therefore, you can put human growth hormone, you can put all these things in the beef, you can put all these things in the vegetables, you can put all these things in anything and everything. Hell, the cheese that you order from some fast food pizza places isn't actually real cheese. If you want more information about how unhealthy some American foods are because of health and safety standards, watch Food Theory's videos about it. They can explain it way better than we can. And also, thank you, Matt Pat. Once again, he was in all those episodes. Anywho.
Of cool stuff for the creators and partners they flew out, beginning with a group field trip to the Mega Tokyo Pokemon Center. Jacob and I woke up early for it and missed the bus they had for us.
Bro.
And it totally wasn't completely my fault entirely because I hypothetically didn't read the schedule correctly and was taking my sweet time getting ready. Why would you think that? So we had to take the trains on our own to get there. Anyone that remembers my first Japan trip knows the trains were me and my family's mortal enemy number one. We kept getting it wrong and it was failure after failure the entire trip. You'd think that with all that prior experience and struggle, I would have grown as a Japanese train understander. Right?
No.
Nope, we got on the wrong train. But at least we were having a good time. A lot of freaking out and mental strain
So
and
that's
regrets.
I gotta say, Japanese game developers, that's the one thing you don't give us any real training for. It's
What?
like,
The train system?
yeah, they always just auto do your train travel.
You know what? That needs to be... A Japanese developer needs to make that a game now. Figure out, like, the train systems in Japan.
Persona 5 is the closest one so far to actually teaching you a little bit because you at least have to go to the correct platforms. Mm-hmm. And Ghostwire Tokyo, the trains are not running, so you don't even get to use them, even though you get to explore some of the subway stations and stuff.
My whole deal with it is just I want that game to be out there, and I want ultimate speed runs on it, so that way people can just look at those speed runs and just be like, oh, quickest way from Hokkaido to Shibuya. Boom, there we go. And apparently Japan has the most effective, once you understand it, it's the most effective metro line in the world in terms of speed and in terms of proficiency. I mean, by no means am I shitting on Japan. It's just, I guess foreigner concept of just, not understanding everything. But anyway.
We finally arrived at our destination, and although by the time we got there they had already finished looking at the Pokemon Center, we were able to grab a quick snack with the group at the Pokemon Sweets Cafe. I meant to take a picture of the Pikachu waffle before I ate half its cranium, but I forgot, so this is what you get. Now that we were with the group, we were able to travel with them for the rest of the day, so we packed into the bus and headed off to a traditional tea ceremony where we were taught all about how the tea masters would make tea and tea etiquette and all these things about the significance of tea in Japanese culture, all while getting to taste the tea master made. Again, I meant to take this picture before I took a chunk out of the little sweet they gave us, but here we are yet again. I'm just not that great at this. They also served us a really special lunch of super fancy bento boxes, so fancy that the host was like, dude, I've never even had these bento boxes before. I was super excited, but I don't mean to be ungrateful or wasteful, but the box was full of super fancy, complicated fish and seafood. I knew going to Japan I'd have to be flexible with food because it's really hard to be vegan or even vegetarian there, so I really tried to eat as much as possible and look thankful. But yeah, I struggled a lot. But I still had a great time, and it was an honor. We were dropped off at the Yokohama Chinatown and left to explore a bit until dinner in a few hours. Everyone separated into groups, and Jacob, Stefan, the guy that sent me all the sitting cuties, you guys remember him, the guy named Steve, and I went and pursued the street food a bit before stumbling into a little arcade with a bunch of crane machines. I got this silly little bear minifigure. His name is Chico, so I decided to innocently carry him around in my pocket for the entirety of the trip.
Did you lose him?
Because he was silly. This single action severely changed the course of my mental stability going forward. You'll see soon enough. But look at these cute photos I got with him. We had a great dinner, headed back to the hotel, got to hang out with our good old Pokemon rival Jan a bit, and called it a night. The next day we all got to do some private shopping at the Pokemon World's pop-up shop. I'll just say we bought way too much stuff that we also don't regret in the slightest. I even got this video of Jacob grabbing more and more sitting cuties as the workers kept reorganizing them to keep the display looking perfect. We walked out of there with 3 giant bags of stuff. But it's okay, because remember, we anticipated this with our extra suitcases, which I am starting to wonder if they are going to be enough, but surely we will come down. We were then all taken to the creatures' offices. You know, just the place where they make Pokemon cards. It was gorgeous in there. They had these awesome sculptures of giant Pokemon cards with crystals, and all the walls were...
I would feel... I wouldn't want to touch anything. I would seriously just like, I would put my hands in my pocket and just be like, I'm afraid of, like, if I touch something, I will greatly, like, tarnish anything.
Were lined with 3D card art. It felt like I was in a building with a lot of significance. Because I was. We got a tour around the building, met the TCG card testers, and were able to ask them questions about their process. Even got to have a little Q&A session with Atsushi Nagashima, the game director of the Pokemon TCG. It was funny, one of the people in our group asked how they chose which Pokemon to make cards for. A good question. And then followed it up with, I really like Mantike, but there's only 2 Mantike cards that exist. And the assistant pulled up a list of all the Pokemon Mantike cards that have ever been created, and sure enough, there were only 2. The director chuckled and was essentially like, yeah, sometimes Pokemon get lost in the cracks. We kind of just make cards of Pokemon I like. For example, my favorite Pokemon is Gengar. And you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense.
Oh, wow. Wow, I didn't think about that. Holy shit, there's a lot of Gengar cards. Like, oh my god. I didn't think about that. Look at... Plus, I could totally imagine him just being like, now everyone shall share my love for Gengar.
I like how she shaped his eyes and mouth like Gengar's, too.
That's such a good little design.
Also, we were able to have a Q&A session with the Pokemon card art director and 3 artists who actually draw art for the cards. That was super interesting, and I was so incredibly inspired by that discussion. But you know those Pokemon cards with the super cute clay art? That artist's name is Yuka Mori, and she was in that panel. I was so starstruck.
That's cool.
Those are some of my favorite Pokemon cards. And not only that, but she hosted a little workshop for us where she gave us clay and taught us how to make little clay Magnemites like in this card here.
Yes!
Speaking of this card, she brought the actual original Magnemite for us to see. That was by far the coolest thing that I've ever gotten to be a part of. We got to meet him.
Oh!
That's like one of those things that like I
just...
never would have thought about past the surface level of seeing it and being like, oh, that's a neat style. And then like all of a sudden unlocked like all of the things that went into that and the thought process behind it and everything, and just like, oh wow.
And the level of artisanal design perfection that you have to have in order for it to be an official TCG card. Oh my god in heaven, that is amazing.
It's like the level of talent that went into it, like that I hadn't even thought about.
Yes. Jesus.
Piece of genuine history. I felt like I was meeting the president. Also, here's me and Jacob's Magnemites that we made. Day 3 of our little Pokemon field trip, and we were taken to another Pokemon Center. This time in Shibuya, which was also right across from a Nintendo store. It was like a bullet was shot through our credit cards.
Yes, I can imagine so.
In the center, I saw a little gacha machine with little miniature Chiikawa plushes. I was only interested in getting Chiikawa, but I decided to test my luck anyway. And I got him first try. Now I had 2 of them. Yes, the original was still in my pocket. You can safely assume he is in my pocket for the entirety of this video. I've got pictures to prove it. Jacob snapped this awesome picture of the Chikawa brain rot taking over. When we were looking around in the Shonen Jump shop, a little Japanese boy pointed at Jacob and went, Sanji-san, before his mother kicked him out.
That's adorable.
If Alpha Rad would have had at that moment a little cigarette that he had just pulled out and just gone, what do you want, kid? That'd have been awesome.
Yanked him away, and I still to this day laugh at that interaction. Poor kid saw his first blonde guy in real life and immediately thought it was Sanji. Later that
What's
day,
wrong
we
with
also got
that?
to attend the
Sanji's
Pokemon
awesome.
Symphony, where a live orchestra played Pokemon songs, and it was absolutely incredible. Video game orchestras are so cool. It always tugs on my heartstrings to see video game music transformed into such a beautiful new art form. Highly recommend attending one if you have any favorite games or franchises. On to the first day of Worlds. It was...
The Genshin Orchestra is really cool.
Really?
Like, they put out a whole like special recently that kind of went back through a whole lot of the music from like the big encounters and areas and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was just awesome to watch.
Damn.
Also really wants, I don't think I can afford it, but I really would like to go up to DC for the Nier orchestra that's going to be happening in October, but I don't think I can afford to get a ticket before they sell out.
Maybe, you never know. If I could see Joe Hisaishi in concert, that's a life goal, like complete. Just
exciting. People flooded into the venue. We watched the opening ceremony in the crowd. Just wow. This is the whole reason why we're here. We went back to shopping. Look at this cute little Chikawa book I found in a nearby bookstore. At this point, we were absolutely pushing it in terms of luggage space, and we were day 4 into a 2.5-week trip. Our shopping sprees until this point were very not frugal, so we cut our losses and bought 2 extra giant suitcases to fit everything better. Okay, we knew we were gonna need extra suitcases. Getting a few extra couldn't hurt. Look, the flights were paid for. We were still saving money at this point, I think.
I can imagine like the extra suitcase check-in for them when they get to the airport is gonna be like boop 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 boop. I'm worried that that's what's gonna happen with Jaden and Alpharad, and they're just gonna wind up spending like $1,000 each on 5 suitcases each coming back. That's gonna be ridiculous if that's the case.
That's my rationalization. I'm going with that. Also in the mall were tons of Pokemon monitors straight up playing the World Championships. TCG, Pokemon Go, VGC. Japan treated Worlds like it was the Super Bowl. And it was just so cool to see one of my main interests so culturally celebrated. People of all ages would stop by to watch for a bit before going back to their shopping. I can't explain it, but it just made me very happy. We even got to see Wolfie live on the monitors.
Hey!
How'd he do? He did great. Don't worry about it. Nothing happened. We were just happy to see our friend on the Pokeball screen. Proud of you, Wolfie. You're so cool. The second day of Worlds was hype. So hype that we left Yokohama and flew to Osaka. I haven't mentioned it yet, but we actually got tickets to see the one and only Hatsune Miku.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't blame you.
Live in concert. The real ones know how huge that is for me. I want to talk about how life-changing that was, but I'm gonna make a whole separate video about that experience I'll be posting next. All I'm gonna say is it was the best day of my entire life. By a lot. Subscribe now before you miss it, just saying. I will mention we did have to take the train to get back later that night and got super lost again. And we never get better at it. Don't expect anything to change in that regard. We did finally get...
Okay, at this point, if I'm them to save money and to save time, I'm literally hiring someone to be like, hey, do you speak English? Do you know how the trains work over here? Okay, I will pay you $500 a day to be our chaperone to make sure we don't get on the wrong train. Thank you. Where did he say we wanted to meet up? Oh, we gotta take a train!
We get back to Yokohama, crashed for the night, and had a nice slow morning as we got ready for finals later that day. To any One Piece fans who are caught up, we were in Japan for the One Piece anime episode. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
1072. We were able to turn on our hotel TV and watch it live. And that was so cool. I don't talk about how much I love
One Piece is, okay, that episode alone, the Joy Boy episode, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Love One Piece much, mainly because it doesn't really come up, but One Piece's peak, and it was an honor to be in Japan at such an iconic part of the manga and anime's history. Anyway, back to Pokemon, sorry about that. We were able to watch the final VGC match live, got to chat and eat dinner with Wolfie and some other friends, had a late night hangout with Jan again, and that was about it. Day 7 meant it was time to pack up all our stuff from the hotel, say goodbye to Pokemon and Yokohama, and head on over to the apartment we rented for the rest of our stay just outside of Tokyo. At this point, we had filled up all 6 suitcases and multiple backpacks.
6? What the hell did I say?
I didn't mention it, but Pokemon gave us a truckload of gifts that we
Oh my god, no!
Holy crap.
Oh.
genuinely had no idea what to do with. We're grateful nonetheless, thank you Pokemon. But yeah, the taxi ride was a bit awkward. So are you meeting up with some friends?
No.
No. After we got situated in the new place, we decided to look around the area and grab some lunch. And I gotta say, the little hole-in-the-wall restaurant Jacob found was some of the best ramen I've ever had, ever.
That is exactly what you get. The ones that you never expect. You know these big fancy ones that you see with the big lights, the big presentation, and all that? Nah, that little hole in the wall with the old man or the old woman who's been making it for like 30 or 40 years and knows like everything there is to know about ramen. Give me that every freaking day, man. That is the kind of ramen that I want.
They even made it vegetarian for me, which was extremely kind of them. Food modifying is a bit tricky in Japan compared to the States, so I was very, very thankful. And it was delicious. We then proceeded to do absolutely nothing for the rest of the day because we were exhausted from the trip so far. I haven't mentioned absolutely everything we'd been doing on the trip because it would be a lot of, first we did this and it was cool, then we did this and it was cool. Even though it was such a pleasure to be invited, I was so dead and definitely looked super not approachable or friendly to the rest of the group by the end of it. Sorry, guys. But neither time nor Japan stops for anyone, so we had to keep on chugging along. There were a bunch of friends we wanted to see while in Japan, and one of them was Connor. He wanted to take us to what he deemed his favorite Italian place ever. I asked if it was like fancy Italian, to which I was given the answer of no. So we get there, having a great time, and suddenly we realize Junichi Masuda, the director of Game Freak, is there having dinner.
What?
Not a fancy dinner, my ass. I then look down to see the Freddy Fazbear FNAF t-shirt that I am wearing. Not the best Jane moment to exist, but hey, what can you do? The food was phenomenal though. I already mentioned the best ramen I've ever had while on the trip, but this was genuinely the best pasta I've ever had in my entire life. Maybe even a top 3 meals ever for me. I don't know what the other 2 would be, but that Connor place is definitely up there. The next day we went to the One Piece store in Shibuya and bought a lot of stuff because there was a lot of topical and hype things in there, as you can imagine. If you don't get it, go catch up and come back. Don't worry, it won't take too long. My favorite character is Mihawk, but out of all the stuff the store had to offer, there were only a few stickers and a single keychain from Mihawk.
That's bullshit, dude. Mihawk is awesome. I mean, he's the world's greatest swordsman. Put some respect on his name.
I'm still mauling about that one. I just want more Mihawk. Is that too much to ask for? Even this guy got better merch. The world's greatest swordsman deserves better. I guess I'll just take my Zoro and Law stuff. That's cool too, I suppose. I also found a bunch of Chikawa stuff in a Kittyland store, and this is truly when you get to see where things start going downhill for me. I just like the funny little cartoon bear thing. What, is that such a crime? I don't remember what we did the rest of the day. I think we just crashed and passed out. This trip as surreal as it's been so far, has been absolutely taking a toll on me, and I desperately needed to just not move or talk or exist for a bit. We were doing so many different things that were all awesome, and hanging out with so many different people that were all awesome, but man, I am not built for extended periods of that much excitement and socializing. As much as I would like to change this fact, I'm also not a very active person. I know. Up until this trip, I was practically sitting down 24/7, working all the time to prep as much work as possible so I could have a guilt-free 3 weeks off, and my muscles were definitely starting to decay at that point. I looked at my phone's step meter thing, and there was one day where I literally got 300 steps. That's pathetic. And suddenly, I'm logging over 20,000 daily. My body was screaming. What the hell are you doing out there? Please stop. Plus, we were in Japan during the hottest, most humid time of the year. Every time we left the air-conditioned luxury of a building, we would immediately be drenched in sweat.
So it's just like being back in Arizona, Jaden. No, don't really complain that much. I'm joking.
I think there's a lot more humidity to
That's
Japan
true.
than there probably
Yeah,
is in Arizona.
yeah.
I think Arizona's a lot more dry.
Arid. It's a very arid place, and I was just joking around. Okay, so it'd be like being in New Orleans.
Look, I'm used to the heat. I grew up in Arizona, but even
Okay.
this was too much. So
Wow.
yeah, crash and burn it
Damn.
was. Tokyo Disneyland was a bit underwhelming. It felt like a slightly worse version of the one in California because of the oddly spaced layout and surprisingly empty vibe. We did go to a Stitch-themed show thing, and as we were walking in, a worker stopped us and said, "Oh, excuse me, Stitch only speaks Japanese," like warning us it's not super tourist friendly. But I just think the statement of Stitch only speaks Japanese is hilarious. We went in anyway, and yep, Stitch only spoke Japanese. Yeah, overall, it was not the best thing we did, but apparently, I didn't know this, Japan has 2 Disneys, Disneyland and Disney Sea, and we went to Land, which is unanimously deemed the worst of the 2. So, oops, better.
Thanks for telling us, because now I know. I'm not going to Disneyland, I'm going to Disney Sea. Wait, if there's a Disney Sea, would that imply that there's a Disney B and a Disney A?
Better luck next time. Jacob and I took 2 more rest days where we just turned to ash, then up and at 'em, back to Osaka we go. This time we went to an
Hey.
Eve concert. Besides Hatsune Miku, the Japanese band Eve is the only other concert I've said I wanted to go see. I love their music videos they have for all their songs. It's always such beautiful animation. And by the way, they're the ones who sang the season 1 Jujutsu Kaisen anime opening theme, if you're lost. Earlier in the trip, Jacob just so happened to look up if they were doing a concert while we were there, and lo and behold, they were. He got some totally not scalped tickets, which turned out to be a super complicated process, so thank you, Jacob. You're the bestest friend I've ever had. Thank you for going through the trenches for silly old me. Anyway, the concert was so incredible. The atmosphere was fantastic. They had awesome visual effects going on. The glow bands a lot of people bought were perfectly synced to the music and colors on the stage, which really enhanced the experience. The music was great, which, I mean, of course it was. That was the whole reason we went in the first place. I talk about it more in the upcoming Miku video, but Japanese encores are so much different from the American ones. They're so quiet and polite. There is pretty much no screaming and cheering. It was just a long applause with a semi-whisper chant of encore, encore. And they also made us wait like 5 minutes for them to come back out. My hands were getting itchy just from clapping so much. That's how long it took. And then when they finally came out, they ended up doing like 5 extra songs. I mean, I'm not complaining, but
That's
after
how
the
big bands
fourth
do
time
encores.
thinking, man,
Hell yeah, man. That's how you make a statement. You want an encore? All right. You ain't getting 1 song. You ain't getting 3 songs. You getting 5.
And when I saw Soilwork, it wasn't even like that huge of a venue, you know? It was like probably about the size of Capone's.
Oh.
But it was packed full with people. But when we started yelling for the encore, and then somebody started chanting, Swedish metal, Swedish metal.
Hell yeah.
They came back out, and Bjorn was like, Swedish metal, that's the new one, we haven't heard that before. And they played like 5 more songs.
and that was a great last extra song. Well, time to head home. Wait, it starts getting a bit comedic. This is just a side tangent, but Jacob went off to use the bathroom before the show started and came back 10 minutes later like, dude, this is crazy, but it took me a bit longer to find a bathroom because there were so many extra women's bathrooms, which is like...
Well, no, that's the thing. It's an accommodation because for women, it's more difficult to use the restroom than it is for men because men, we can just like stand there, whip it out, go, that's it. Women, there's more it's a lot more complicated. And that's the reason why whenever we go to major events, you always see the men's room line being very short, and you always see the line to the ladies' room a mile long. Honestly, I think
that
that
actually makes more sense to have extra ones for the ladies.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Whoa, that's actually so smart. There's always such a huge line for the women's bathroom compared to the men's in any scenario. I was just shocked Japan was like, okay, then we'll make more women's bathrooms to fix that problem. Like, it was so simple. I know in America it would probably turn into a stupid political thing, but it made me so happy Japan just implemented such an obvious and straightforward solution so easily for the gals. The next day, we headed over to Universal, which was hands down the best amusement park I've ever been to.
Well, you know what's there, right?
Mario.
Yes!
So they can do amusement parks well. First of all, Universal Japan is way more anime and manga focused than the ones in the States, which made it instantly more engaging for me. Jacob and I both agreed we would window shop for the first part of the day and then buy all the things we wanted as we were leaving so we wouldn't have to lug around a bunch of bags all day. But we immediately saw a little One Piece shop and cracked. We just wanted to wear these One Piece headbands. That's rule-breaking worthy. We also got some towels because surprise, surprise, it was freaking hot. I know I've been complaining about the weather here and there, but my lord, it was miserably scorching. Japan has such a big culture around staying cool while outside, and I totally get it now. People would be walking around with little fans, ice packs, towels. A lot of women had parasols. I'll say, if we didn't get those towels, we probably could have passed out from heat stroke that day. Later on, I even ended up getting another towel. It was a cute Pikachu one, but I got it mainly because it was a cloak design. After soaking that thing in cold water and putting it on, my body temperature instantly lowered like 5 degrees. However, that meant I was walking around the park looking like this. Back to the awesome stuff. We did a bunch of attractions like watch a fun 4D Jujutsu Kaisen show where the seats move around. Went on a super cool 3D VR Spider-Man ride. We tried to cool down by going on a Minions thing called Freeze Ray sliders that claimed to cool riders down with a blast of chilled mist from a giant freeze ray. But we got on and absolutely did not even touch a drop of the mist because it never ended up getting in range of our heart. That felt like an actual tragedy at the time. There were a few big roller coasters we wanted to go on, but I get super motion sick and forgot to bring nausea medicine, so no roller coasters for us. But
damn! Once again, my fat ass doesn't fit on American roller coasters, so I don't have a snowball's chance in hell of fitting on a Japanese one. But that being said, I'm on a regimen right now to try and lose weight by the summer. And if I lose enough weight by the summer and I'm able to ride roller coasters again, I'm making a damn vlog to make up for the one that I tried to do a few years ago with my mom, and I'm gonna vlog my experience at various theme parks.
But I shall return one day. The park, of course, had a bunch of cool themed restaurants, one of them being a super cool One Piece restaurant. Did I mention I like One Piece? There also was a special Sanji one, but we didn't know you needed a reservation, so... It was awesome though, I love One Piece. After a few hours of rides and being broiled alive, we decided to fully cool off by going on the Jurassic Park ride that's just giant splash mountain with dinosaurs. We cooked in line for probably a solid hour, and as soon as we were literally stepping foot inside the ride, it started pouring rain.
Oh, come on.
Now that's just not fair. I don't even understand how that happened, but whatever. We started buying all the stuff we window shopped for as we waited for the One Piece live show to begin. Again, please refrain from judging. I am being vulnerable and open here. By the way, as we were walking...
Jaden, One Piece is the most popular manga in the world. Not just in Japan, but worldwide. You don't gotta feel sorry for liking One Piece. It's okay. Hell, talk more about One Piece. Make a video about One Piece. I want you to make a video about One Piece. Please. Because I love One Piece. One Piece is one of my favorite manga slash anime of all time. Albeit the manga is a lot more brutal than the anime, but hey, beggars can't be choosers.
Looking
I
around,
don't
we
think I'll
stumbled
ever
on
actually have time to be a fan of One Piece.
Well, once again, it's just one of those things.
to a little Mario-themed show just out in a courtyard area. They played some fun little custom songs and had all these dancers alongside the mascots. And then out of nowhere, they started absolutely blasting the crowd with like gallons of water. I didn't even see it coming. It was like firefighters showed up to put out a giant fire, except the fire was a bunch of Japanese people. The time came and we got to file in for the special One Piece live show. And even though Jacob and I didn't understand a single part of it because it was all in Japanese, it was awesome, and the costume design was phenomenal. It was a bit unfortunate though, because the seats were all in like a half circle formation around the stage. As much as they tried to make the show enjoyable from all angles, it was pretty hard to see the main things going on in the center. My only
Fair
true
enough.
complaint though is that Zoro didn't come to our side at all. All the other characters rotated around so we could see them, but Zoro only did it at the very end to take a bow. Also, Mihawk being included would have been nice, but it's okay. By the time we got to enter Nintendo Land, it was like 9 p.m. We got up at 6 a.m. by the way, so we pretty much just rode the Yoshi's Island ride they don't have in the States and headed home because that's all the energy we had left. But even just seeing that, it was miles better than the one in the States. Also, we picked up a little dinner at the 7-Eleven near our hotel. 7-Eleven is actually awesome in Japan, by the way. And
Well, everything's better in Japan.
they had a few little Chicoa plushie keychains and I bought them. Just being transparent here. We woke up early the next morning to catch our flight back to Tokyo and hurried over to the Kirby Cafe. Emily actually booked the reservation for us.
Hey,
she
Em.
was meant to also be there, but she was only able to get 2 seats and gave them to us as a gift.
Aww.
Emily, I will always be indebted to you for your sacrifice. The
Aw.
cafe itself was so well decorated with all these little Kirby things, and the menu was adorable. I got the star curry and a magical little fruity drink with a Kirby.
This is one of the ones that she covered on her cafes videos, I think. I think maybe we saw the one where she talked about this. I don't know.
marshmallow that triggered my cute aggression. Jacob got the pizza and a Kirby burger, but since he made modifications, the staff asked him to not post a picture of the burger to the public. Like, they didn't know he was a content creator or anything. I guess they just didn't want the public to see a naked Kirby burger. We also both got
Aw.
desserts. I already decided I was gonna consume the Kirby. The presentation was beautiful. It was literal art
Kirby.
on a plate. Taste-wise, it was decent. The body was some sort of gelatin, which I wasn't too crazy about, but the rest was super tasty. I did my best,
Gelatin is
but
not
he ended
vegan?
up looking like he was in a horrific accident when I threw in the towel.
Oh,
the cafe
no.
also has a special little private store connected to it.
I wonder
And,
if Jaden
yeah,
knows the thing about gelatin.
Yeah, about it not being vegan. Well, once
It's
again,
basically made from like crushed up animal bones.
yeah. Once again, I don't think Jaden is like 100% all the time vegan, but she tries her best to be as vegan as possible.
What you expect happened definitely happened. We left with full bellies and bags, continued to look around the shopping center the cafe was connected to, and ended up walking into a gacha store. I am about to be very vulnerable with you here. This is one of the lowest points of my entire life. Please don't think too much less of me after what happened in that gacha store. So I walk in, spot Chiikawa, beeline
Gacha
into the
equals
machine,
gambling.
obviously. Like I mentioned,
Yeah,
And it can be bad if somebody doesn't have self-control.
and Jaden, I think, is in a very vulnerable place where her self-control is just God.
before, I'm only interested in Chiikawa, so I was only playing for him. But by the cursed luck of the gacha gods, I just could not get him. I was going back and forth between the machine and the coin exchange, getting multiples of every other little guy, but no Chiikawa. I could feel the workers' glances at me, probably because the desk they were standing behind was right next to the machine I was grinding. But after way too much money, he dropped. I got my well-earned, horribly priced at that point, Chiikawa. I then started looking at all the other machines, putting some coins in a few here and there, until I stopped at one that had a line of animals playing band instruments.
Ooh.
They were very silly, but there was a little pigeon holding up cymbals, and I really wanted to get him
She is
for
a bird.
Jordan and Kelsey.
She is a bird person.
In went the coins. Tiger, elephant, fox, It was happening again. Everything except the one I wanted, which I know more or less that's the luck with gachas, but it was getting to the point where I was getting surprised the pigeon was dodging me as much as it was. Surely the next one. What? Eventually, I had to go back to the coin exchange, and as I was about to put in more money, I saw out of the corner of my eye one of the workers peek out and take a look in horror at all the gachapons that were sitting at the top of my bag. They then raised up their hand and said something in Japanese while shaking their head, and I knew in my heart I was being cut off. No, please, I can stop whenever. Just a few more hits and I'm done.
I swear, dude. I love the fact the Japanese do that. There's a lot of people out there who would see you playing like that stupid quarter machine, you know, like drop the quarters in and everything.
The pigeon is next. I can feel it. Why do you look afraid? What's under the desk? I got kicked out of a gacha store. I had hit an all-time low. I told my friends and they said they probably just thought I was gonna try and resell them, but I don't even know if that would even make it sound better, knowing I was getting so many that they thought I was robbing them blind. I just wanted my little Chiikawa and pigeon with symbols. We made dinner plans that night with a friend, and we were just about to grab a taxi and head back to freshen up, but Jacob and I caught sight of a fun anime and goodies shop.
No.
Who do we think we are? People with self-control? We'll make it quick. We rushed in and split up for optimization. As I was looking around, I saw it. A whole section dedicated to Chiikawa. It was like someone put a freshly baked pie on a windowsill, and I was suddenly floating over to it. My eyes were zoned in, making sure I saw every single thing possible, putting Chiikawa after Chiikawa in the basket. Jacob eventually came over and showed me a picture he took on his phone. In my tunnel vision, all my eyes registered was that the picture showed more Chiikawa in the store. I immediately went feral. Where? Jacob's eyebrows went up in surprise and maybe a bit of fear. And as I looked at the photo again, I realized Jacob wasn't showing me a picture of a different Chiikawa section. He was showing me a picture of me at the current Chiikawa section I was standing in because he thought it was funny. And in my Chiikawa brain rot, I didn't even register I was in the picture. I just saw more Chiikawa and went obsessive. This is how I am. Either stand by me or leave. No, I don't need an intervention. Put it away. We left. I looked longingly at the crane machine Chiikawas we didn't have time for, and we made it in time for dinner. Plus, we ended up in another arcade nearby anyway, and I got myself a Chiikawa from one of those machines. So it worked out. Stop. I don't want to hear it. Finally, we were reaching the end of our trip. We spent the last day grabbing lunch with Emily and Diaz. There was a cool One Piece scavenger hunt event going on, so we also did that with them. We basically had to walk around Shibuya and find special One Piece trading card posters hidden around the area, and if we found enough along with the special card of the day, we could get a limited edition mystery card. It was fun, but also hot. And all my clothes were sticking to my body. Diaz generously let me borrow his umbrella, and I jumped for joy as he showed me it was coincidentally Chiikawa themed. I don't know what's wrong with me. All I know is that bear makes me happy. We spent a few hours completing the scavenger hunt, got our special cards, and bid them farewell. Always good to see you guys.
You know what I want now? I want a Chiikawa that is dressed up as Mihawk. And I want to give that to Jaden, just to be like, here you go. Just to see her little head just explode from excitement.
Guys, bye-bye. I accidentally stole Diaz's umbrella. It looked so calculated. They knew how much I was obsessed with Chiikawa. They've been watching my Instagram stories. Follow if you want to see brain rot in real time. Emily, I have the Chiikawa umbrella. I didn't mean to steal it, I promise. It's not what it looks like. Since we were leaving in the morning and wouldn't be seeing them again, they just let me keep it. But the side eye Jacob gave me the rest of the way back. I didn't mean to stop it. Getting back to the apartment, reality hit us hard. We needed just a few more suitcases. Again. In total, we ended up buying 6 extra suitcases to hold everything we
I was joking when I said 5.
collectively bought. And even then, it was a struggle making it fit. Jacob ended up going professional Tetris mode, perfectly fitting everything into the suitcases with quite literally no extra room to spare. We came to Japan each with a backpack, carry-on, and one extra big suitcase, and we're leaving with altogether 8 suitcases and 4 backpacks. We were lucky the taxi driver had a big enough car to fit everything because we didn't have much of a game plan if it didn't. Off to the airport we went, where we checked all of our excessive bags, paid a couple fees, boarded our...
Yeah, how much in fees, Jaden? I want to know how much in fees it... Or actually, if that's TMI, that's fine. But just from an estimate alone, that's at least a few $100s in bag fees. At least.
Our flight and headed home. That trip will go down as one of the best trips I've ever gone on. It felt like it turned into a celebration of everything that makes me me. All of my hobbies and interests, Pokemon, One Piece, at the last minute, Chikoa. We got to do so many incredible things and were given so many opportunities I never even thought I could be a part of. I got to see so many friends that are normally so far away, ate some of the best meals of my life, and overall was just really happy, especially getting to spend it all with my best friend, Jacob. By the way, if you wanted to know why in the world we got so many things, yes, a lot of it was for us. 90% of it all was for our friends. 100% of the Chikoa stuff was mine, but that's besides the point. If you want to see what we got them, also credit where credit is due. The majority of it all was from Jacob, because he's a great gift giver and even more incredible friend to the people around him. We're all nothing short of lucky to be able to call him our friend. You can go watch his Japan video. I assume it's already up, because we had to animate a freaking 30-minute long video. My god, it was a lot. Thanks for sticking around. But yeah, I just had an unforgettable trip, and I owe the opportunity to the Pokemon Company for inviting us to Japan in the first place. I'm extremely lucky to be in the position I am, and will be forever grateful.
Well, there you go.
Even if I ever go to Japan, there's no way I'll be able to afford to buy stuff like that.
I've never been to Japan.
If I ever am taking a trip to Japan, I am getting at least a few $1,000s saved up just for goodies to buy. That's like, I will have a separate business card just for that. I'll have like the one card for food and like other like regular expenses, but there is one card that will be specifically for like just expenses involving goodies and all that gobbledygook.
A few $1,000s has been the bane of my existence for the past like 15 years of my life, because I can't ever afford to pay it back. So me saving up a few $1,000s doesn't seem likely for Japan.
Well, we'll see. All in due time, but honestly, dude, I'm like, that was a great video. That was a really, really great video. And all the stuff that you can do in Japan, I honestly, I would want to do like half traditional, like culture-based stuff, half nerdy, like anime, like what's the word? Oh, half otaku. I would want half cultural, like just experiencing like Kyoto and like going to like all of the different like cultural hubs that have amazing stuff. Then the other half is me just like nerding the hell out as like I see like some of my most favorite amazing stuff ever of all time just right in front of me. Gosh. I don't know. But what did you think overall?
It's very cool.
Is there anything that you specifically would like to do in Japan, like manga, anime, or nerd-wise?
I'm trying to think of something that's actually appropriate for YouTube, because...
Okay.
There's stuff you can do in Japan that's not appropriate for YouTube.
I know that. Like, that's one of the big things about Japan, but...
I probably just want to visit, like, you know, Akiba and play in arcades and stuff.
Yeah. That's understandable. Me, I would probably say I would. Okay. Just because I'm such a big fan of hers, I would like to visit. There, I said it.
Don't know if you can just visit her or not.
Well, no, she does like fan events still and everything. Even though she's retired, she still does fan events where she like meets up with people. And I would just be like, hey. I'd be like, hey, big fan, love your work. That's literally all it would be. But anyway, yeah, that was Jaden. Basically, just like terrorizing Japan for almost 3 weeks, alongside Alpha Rad, and honestly, I think that's really cool. I love that, and honestly, I would like if I ever do get a chance to meet Jaden. I know I know the exact gift I would give her. You know, that Mihawk with the little bear. Yeah, the little bear dressed up as Mihawk. That's what I would do. Yeah, I've already forgotten the name of the damn bear. Chikawa, thank you. Chikawa dressed up as Mihawk. Yeah, so anyway, that's going to do it. So thank you all very much for tuning in. This was Jaden Animation's trip to Japan. And until next time, I'm Nate.
I am Nick.
Y'all be good people. Take care. Bye-bye.